Okay, so I've got this basic perspective setup of my interior. There's obviously a long way to go there, but just want to show you if I turn on shadows that we don't have any sunlight coming into the building. So what I'm going to do first is go look at my sun settings. So the main thing I want to show you in this video is how to adjust your north setting to get sunlight, but to show in other drawings as well. And so I'm going to look at sun settings in this view so that you can see how to find the options to show your sun. So if you haven't used that one before, that's really important. Again, clicking on the little sun icon, the sun path on and off are the first two options there, and they're really not very useful. So people sometimes go and play with those and they get in the way, so ignore those for the time being and just make sure you know about sun settings at the top. And then over on the top left you've got the option for still. So that's the option you need to use if you want to show your sun. In other words, the sunlight, not the sun disk itself. So here, clicking on still, now you can see it's got this option down below, in session still, and you can't duplicate that one. So I'm going to go and choose one of these others, it doesn't matter which. Maybe I'll use winter solstice as a starting point because I know the angle's going to be fairly shallow, and then I'm going to duplicate it. So clicking on the little 2-page button down the bottom, and we'll be setting this up for rendering going into the next project. So I'm going to call this render sun 1. And then over here I'm just going to take note of the time. So it's winter solstice, 21st of June, and then the time is midday. So I'll just click OK, turn my shadows on, and now you can see sun coming through those windows. Now I know that this is the north wall, so I knew I was going to get sun coming through there. But if you want to adjust it, going back to sun settings now with the shadows turned on, you can change the time, click apply, and then you can see there the changes. So it's that simple, setting the sun, but how do we know if it knows where north is? So the other thing we need to check is the true north position. So going into the site plan, again I know with this project that we've modelled it with north going up the page. So if you've drawn it this way you shouldn't need to change it. But just so you know, if you have to change your true north direction, it's on the Manage tab, and then you can see here the little down arrow where you have the option to rotate true north.
So, because you're going to get better light in that direction,
yeah.
Do you sometimes actually just use this to change it so that you're going to get better light?
Well, you can cheat. You shouldn't. I don't on my own projects, but I've seen people do it. Not so much in Australia, but I've seen a few people in other countries who do the same sort of 3D work I've done, who just put the sun at whatever direction looks good. But I'm sure they get into trouble later when people build the thing and realise that this beautiful rendered view they've got with the sun going on the side of the building is always in shadow. Yeah, so. I mean, even here, I would actually go as far as modelling in the buildings around around our building, even if they're just as block forms, to get the overshadowing that we'd have in real life as well. So I'd always do that because I want to see what the real lighting's going to be. Most of the projects I work on, I'm doing the design as well, so I don't want to just have a pretty render.
Question.
Yeah, sure.
When you were changing the type of the sun, you actually had the shadow coming from the windows.
Yeah.
Is that a specific visual style?
No, it can be any. So as long as it's...
The only one that does that, let's be honest, I'm doing something wrong, is ray trace.
Oh, right, no. So you need to have shadows on, that's all. So hidden line or shaded, any of those will work, realistic.
Oh, okay.
But you've got to just turn shadows on.
Yeah, that's
So how do you get the... Yeah, so then you could tend to show north, and that's another thing. So now I'm going to go to my sheets, and all I've got there is the default sheet. So I might make a new sheet, and I'll go and grab a title block from the from our library on the P drive. I'll put the shortcut over here. Okay, so you've got some slightly better title blocks here. And actually, have any of you decided on a sheet size that you're going to use? Yep, that's fine. So you can use A3 for this one and then make it larger for the later project. So I'll just use this A3 title block I've got. And then I've got a plan view there which is a little bit messy, so I'm going to duplicate it. Give it a new name. Hide all the things I don't need. Okay, so that will do for now. I'll tidy it up more later. So I'll go down to my sheet, put the plan on it, and so that's the first step. You usually want the view to be on a sheet before you worry about the north point. Yep. Yep. Oh yeah, you can. If it's got the title there, so you can just select the viewport, and then over here go to no title. That's fine. And so then the north point is actually done with a symbol. So it's on the annotate tab, and you've got their symbol at the end. So that's an easy one to miss. And so make sure you know about those. Symbols are really useful. Yeah, so this is the default north point. If you go to load family, and then I've got some here in annotation. I'm sure I've made. That's not the one I've done. Where have I put? Well, here's another one, and I know I've made a stack of them that I have. Here we are. So there's another one. Okay, so I might use that one. That's the one I use quite a bit. Okay, so it's not detecting our north setting. So if your north is a different direction, you need to rotate that symbol. Yeah. You have to work it out. Yeah, satellite image will help you. So so it's lucky if you're working that way. The satellite image should be oriented to north normally, or you should check that it is, and then the side of the image will be north. So here, the side of this here is our. Actually, sorry. Okay, now I said we know which way north is. We don't. Okay, so that's good. So we better fix this. Okay, lucky I checked that. Okay, so our elevations were labelled with this as north, but actually it is at a slight angle. So that's good, because then we can see how to change it. So again, on the architecture tab, you have the reference plane tool. I'm sure you've all used that quite a bit by now. And I'm going to draw a reference plane tracing along the side of that image. Just because now I can go to any other view and see that reference plane at the angle which we know is north. So you can see that satellite image does a bit more than just give us the context. It gives us the true north direction, which you should always show. That's essential in any professional set of drawings. It's probably the most important feature that's required. So, okay, so I've just moved this and shortened it so that it's easier to work with in these plan views. And I'm going to make sure that I can see that in my ground floor plan that I'm working in by just unhiding temporarily the reference planes. So now back onto the sheet, and I can drag the north point over onto that reference plane. So it's going to be from the centre that it's rotating, so there we go. Just drag that by eye, you don't need to be too precise, this is just a graphical symbol, remember. So now with the rotate tool, start at that angle that it's pointing at already, and then bring it around again just by eye to follow that reference plane. Move it back, and yep. So then to put it on other sheets, I can go and make a new sheet now, and this might have my level 1 which is meant to be 1 to 50, 1 to 100. And then I can just copy and paste from this view. So going back to the sheet that's got my north point, I can just select that, use the copy to clipboard tool, and then go to the new sheet, and then under paste, align to current view. And it's in the same place. I wish you could do that with views, but of course you can't have duplicate views on different pages. So, so that's more than enough for dealing with north, and but I will show you just back in the perspective view now that the angle of the sunlight in those coming through those windows has changed. So it's now reflecting. No, sorry, it hasn't changed. So it's exactly the same because I haven't set true north yet. So it will change. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So, okay, so now the final thing is to change true north in the true north view. So this is a bit tricky if you haven't done it before. You go to the option under the Manage tab in Project Location. The bottom panel there has the option to rotate true north. So it might take you a couple of goes at first just to get used to the way it works. So once you've chosen rotate true north, the way you do it is drag the base point onto the end of the marker that locates your north direction, and then you start with the angle that it is referencing. So there I'm just following along that reference plane. So that's my base angle. And then you bring it around to the way it should be facing, which is pointing up at 90 degrees. So it won't say 90, it's going to be the difference between that angle and 90. So it just will snap to vertical, and you just need to check that it is perfectly 90 degrees or vertical. So now this is a true north view. In other words, that plan is oriented to true north, and we can tell there because this reference plane is vertical. Now you might be worried that the other views are going to change, so I'll just show you. They haven't. So it's only the true north view that gets rotated that way. And so now, there we go, that's what I was after. So you can see now that the light coming through my windows has changed. Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I can go back now and play with my sun settings to get a better angle. So that's it. It's everything you need to do for north, and if you set it now while the file's small, you should be able to do it pretty quickly, and then as you add your design in, you can constantly be checking how that's going to work with the real sunlight that you have through your openings.